Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty in the Frizz. My name is Kara. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for another one today. I really hope that the start of 2023 has found you all well, and I'm really excited to be here with you all. I'm excited to have all of you here in this community, and we're gonna make this one a good one. And this is gonna be a great year for makeup. It's gonna be a great year for really curating our collections, not falling for the okie doke, and not being boo-boo the fool. Okay, I am really here for toning it down, buying the makeup that I love, using what makes me happy, and I hope you all are here for that with me. Today I am going to be talking about the best in beauty for 2022. I just was not able to get this video up before the year was over, and I really had to sit and think about all of it. So if you want to hear my thoughts on what was best in beauty for last year, keep watching this video. Let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with someone that feels the same way, definitely consider joining the community. You know I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So yeah, y'all, I genuinely meant what I said about hoping that the new year has started well for you. Even if it hasn't, don't think that the year is shot. Every passing moment is a second to turn it all around. Vanilla Sky, Penelope Cruz. But it's true. So let's get into the best of beauty. I have watched several content creators' videos on this, and of course I wanted to put my 2 cents in. I am gonna try to roll through this because these videos can be lengthy, and I know we don't have a lot of time. Let's start with skincare. I'm not gonna go into every single product or brand that I've tried, because in the past I've always used skincare from my BoxyCharm boxes and things like that. Last year I started to get pretty serious about my skincare, and overall the brand that I am loving for skincare is Kiehl's. The products work. They're not overly scented. They're gentle. And I've loved every single thing that I've tried from the brand. I did purchase their advent calendar for 2022. It's gonna take me a long time to use all those products, even though most of them are the like deluxe sample sizes. But right now I can say I'm using a cleanser and a toner. I'm using a lip balm, a night cream, a hand balm. I love it all. I'm gonna give Kiehl's that brand of the year for my skincare. Now, I do love like my cleanser from Youth to the People. I do have an exfoliator from Good Molecules, but overall, Kiehl's, yes. So let's get into the fun stuff. I'm gonna try to go in the order as I would apply these products. If you have any questions about anything, definitely let me know. I am not gonna be mentioning like old favorites, because the old favorites that I have most likely are still favorites. I'm really gonna be talking about things that I discovered this year. Let's get into brows. The 2 brow products that were holy grails for me this year were the Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Brows. This is a micro precision brow gel. And then the Patrick Ta Major Brow Laminating Gel. So the Charlotte Tilbury is great because it's got this precision, okay, sized spoolie, and I love this. You can bend it. What I do is I comb my brows out with this first. It does have a black brown shade. I love the shade black brown. It is perfect for my color eyebrows. I find that black is just way too dark. After I do that, I use my NYX, the Lift and Snatch. Once I'm done with all of that, I take the Patrick Ta Major Brow Lamination Gel. I go over it very lightly. This is my 2nd tube of this, and I find that when it gets super stringy, that's when I know that it's getting old. And I just take that and I comb my brows up, and then I kind of go over like that, and my brows stay in place. I have no issues with flaking or anything like that. And I don't comb through them super hard because I think that would disrupt the other products underneath. I just go over it lightly. I love it. I don't have super thick brows, so you know, I do aspire to having those bushy, feathery brows, but this is as close as I can get. I love these products for that, and I am going to continue to use them. Going into primers, there are 2 that I am in love with. So for face primer, 2nd bottle. So going into face primer, this is my 2nd bottle. This is the Natasha Denona Hygiene Skin Glass Energizing and Hydrating Primer Serum. If you like dewy skin, this is a product you will love. I use this alone and I use it under makeup. If I'm not wearing foundation, I still put this on first after my moisturizer, and then I use my concealer and blend it out, and then I have this dewy, balmy look. I really love that. If you have oily skin, then this may not be a product that you're gonna like because you already have the natural dew. I don't have the natural dew, so I need to make it. And this does it for me. For eye primer, I discovered the MAC Paint Pot. I do know this is old school and it's an oldie but goodie, but to think that I thought those ColourPop cream eyeshadows were a substitute for this. No, not at all. This is soft ochre. It's so smooth, it's so creamy. Those ColourPop ones were thick and I don't even know what's going on. Love this so much. It does keep my eyeshadow nice throughout the day. And there's so much that comes in here. So I am gonna be using this up and probably replacing this one, but it looks like it's gonna take a while. Those are my favorites for primer. All right, so foundation is next. And I'll say 2022 is the year where I've tried the most foundations ever. Like, ever. I started out in 2020 with using like Stila and Tarte, and that was it. And then 2022, it was like a foundation explosion. And I see a lot of foundations coming out now in 2023. I think I talked about 3 of them at least on my Purchaser Pass video. So let's talk about the ones that I tried that I really, really love. The first 2 are from Chanel, and I can't find one of them. I have no idea where it is. It is the No. 1 Day Chanel. It is more of a skin tint. That was one of the first ones that I tried this year. And I really loved it because it gave you pretty light coverage, really natural coverage. And I felt like the shade match was absolutely perfect. It was pricey. And then if you want something even lighter, this one by Chanel, which is the Beige Complexion Touch, Water Fresh Complexion Touch, these names. Like you can already see, I've used a bunch of this. This is the one where you have to kind of put it on the back of your hand and break up the pigment. And this was reformulated. There was one that they came out with last year. I wore this literally all summer. And at first I thought this was too dark for me, but it actually wasn't, because I bought this in 2 shades. And the one that's a little bit lighter, so this is B40, and my No. 1 Day Chanel skin tint is B50. The B30 was too light. So this was actually perfect. And I thought it was dark, but once you break up the granules that are in it and put it on, it spreads out, and this color was perfect. The finish was great, hydrating, love this stuff. I am going to continue to use this. I love the NARS too, but I wanted to really narrow this down. Charlotte Tilbury was okay. The shade match was a little yellow, but these 2 right here are the ones I'm using all the time right now. We have the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Foundation. Aside from the fact that I can't like stand it up and I have to lay it down, that's the only annoying thing. This is so good. Like, it is so good. And then the Hourglass Ambient Soft Glow Foundation. Now this one, to me, I know it may have said medium, but to me this is really full coverage. It is thick, and a little bit goes a long way. Literally 1 pump, maybe 1.5 pumps for me. That's all I like to use because I do like my imperfections to show through my foundation. So I like to see the freckles and things like that. This is so good too. These are gonna last me a long time, along with the other foundations that I purchased in 2022. I'm still gonna use the NARS. The Charlotte Tilbury, maybe I'll still use that, but I really don't have any room for any more foundations in my collection. So I did see that Makeup by Mario has one and people love it, but if I have things that I love and I'm not wearing it a lot, then there's no point in me purchasing it. I do have my Auric Glow Lust. I still love those. So I am completely covered. I even have foundation sticks. Like I have my Huda foundation stick, which is still great. I have the Westman Atelier foundation stick. So I'm good to go on foundations, but these 2 for 2022, these were like top tier, along with the 2 from Chanel. Now getting into concealer, the one that took the cake for me was the Dior Forever Skin Correct. I just absolutely love this. I think what I loved about it the most was that at first I thought the shade was too dark because I got 4N, and I think 4N is really what I would take all over my face. But because I haven't been wearing as much foundation, I've gotten in the habit of wanting to use a concealer that is the same color as my skin, because I'm able to use it just all over my face. I'm able to take a concealer brush, kind of tap it in for the under eye, and then my BK Beauty 101 brush and kind of blend it out. And I don't have to worry about my under eyes looking crazy bright or anything like that. I know that's kind of a YouTube, TikTok, Instagram thing where people want these bright under eyes, but I'm okay with my eyes looking like this because that's what I've been using in all of my videos. I did try the Armani concealer. I got that one at too light. The LYS concealer was nice, and I still have my Pat McGrath. Out of all of them, this one is beautiful, and I actually just purchased the reformulated one that's supposed to be transfer proof and 24-hour wear. I mean, I'm not wearing any concealer for 24 hours, but if I had to recommend one concealer this year, it's this one. And it makes me want to try the foundation, but at this time, I just don't need to try any foundation. So maybe when I run out of something, but right now, this combo is really working for me. I think out of the concealers and the foundations, I would wholeheartedly pick the concealer because it looks great when I'm not wearing foundation. And that's what I like. You know, if I were to put on like my Pat McGrath based on the shade that I have and some of the other ones, I would look crazy. But this one is so skin-like and the color match is just on point. So this is the winner for me. Next, let's talk about powders. So the first powder that I want to talk about, I can't find, and it's the Chantecaille Perfect Blur finishing powder, and I have that one in the darker shade, which is medium to deep, and I got that when it was on sale. It has more of a baked type formula, I think I would say. It's like you can press it in, or like a gel, and it is beautiful. It's hard packed, so when you do put it on the brush, you're not gonna see a whole bunch of powder all up in the air or anything like that. But it's one of those powders where in person it looks so good. Like you see people wear powder and it's caked up, or you can see it, or it's too bright. What I've come to really appreciate is anything that can lessen the amount of steps in my makeup routine, the better. And I just like that I can use a Chantecaille powder under my eyes as well as all over my face. I don't usually powder my entire face, but wherever I decide to put the powder, the Chantecaille works. And the other one that I brought out this year, but I bought in 2021, was the Tatcha Radiant Translucent Setting Powder. I actually go for this more than the Chantecaille. Now, again, this is a loose powder, but it's another powder that has a radiant finish. It's not cakey, and I don't know, Tatcha can really do no wrong. And you can see, like, I have been using this powder, like the logo is worn off. I really started to use this about halfway through the year. A little bit goes a long way. I still have a lot of this left. I don't know, I love these two powders so much. I don't use the Pat McGrath powder anymore. I know that's great for the under eye. I don't know, I just was kind of annoyed with how powdery it was and how fragile it is, because I can be really hard on makeup if I'm taking it with me somewhere. That's just the reality. I'm hard on it. So I need something that can endure, something that can withstand. And the Chantecaille and the Tatcha, they both do that. I did try the Rare Beauty, but I didn't really give that much of a chance. I did hear it was good, but maybe that'll be a favorite for 2023. We'll see. But right now, you can't tell me anything about the Tatcha or the Chantecaille. Now, the Hourglass powders in the Elephant palette, those are another favorite. And Hourglass just has a way of having that within kind of candlelit glow. So I will mention that when we talk about face palettes, which should be soon. I have to look at my notes. But yeah, that's what I have for powders. Now, bronzer. I'm only going to talk about one because I do have other favorites. I have Victoria Beckham, Gucci, the LYS cream was nice. You know, I have that. But the one I used the most this year was the Chanel Le Beige Oversize Healthy Glow Sunkiss powder. This one, I have this one in Sunbath, which is deep, and I have Sunkiss, which is the medium shade. I use them both. The medium one I can use a little more freely all over. But this has a really unique type of formula because it's not a cream or a powder. And this is a pricey one. So I damn sure made sure that I was gonna be using this powder. And I really love this so much. Like, it smells good. It's not like a overpowering, like, old lady scent or anything like that. It's very soft and gentle. And I just love how easy this is to buff out. It just looks really good. I love the tone of it, and I should love it. I should love it for the price. So this was my bronzer of the year. Next, we're gonna talk about blush. Ooh, and then face palettes. Okay, excited. So blush, the one that was the most surprising for me was this Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer blush. I really want more of these. I keep saying it, and they ended up having like 25 or 30% off over the holidays, and I never got around to getting another one. But first of all, the range of these blushes was excellent. I think no matter what skin tone you are, you could find a blush that was going to work for you in this line. They're pigmented. They really do feel like a moisturizer, but this is just like, look at the finish there. It's dewy. It is pigmented. I would just take my Merit brush that I use for like the blushes and highlighting balm and just go ahead and put it on top. It is great on bare skin as well as foundation, which is great. It won't mess up your foundation or anything like that. This was like a unsung hero for 2022 for me. Next, let's talk about the blushes from RMS. I did not know about these at the launch. I had never tried anything from RMS, but I did start to hear a lot of content creators talking about these blushes, and they are absolutely beautiful. I think if you're someone who doesn't like blushes with shimmer, you would still like these because they're smooth and they don't accentuate any texture. They are just really gorgeous blushes. Another brand that had a great range where I feel like you could find something that you like. They were buildable, and I just love the glow that it gives the skin. So I had Mai Tai, I had Sangria, and then, I have. And then I have Maiden's Blush, which is this one here. So beautiful. Maiden's Blush is so gorgeous. Like, it can go with any look that you do. I also have my Chanel Blush Comet, one of the blushes I purchased early in the year in 2022. Love this coral blush, so beautiful. This is the one that had the CC and then the star. It's definitely worn off because I love this blush and use it all the time. This was a really special blush that I bought. It's definitely expensive, but this one and the chains are two of my favorite blushes. So I know Chanel's about to come out with a blush, but that's not my special blush, not that one. I gotta really continue to look at their releases because I can't be in the habit, but like, I absolutely love this blush. I'm gonna have to wear this tomorrow. Also, we have the Pat McGrath Blush Duo in Paradise Glow. Just when I didn't think I could find anything that I would love more than Desert Orchid, she came out with Paradise Glow. And oh no. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? I don't know why I did that. Whatever, I don't care. Paradise Glow, I'm sad that I did that. Paradise Glow is my favorite blush. Like, it really is. I don't know why I pressed it in like that. Something made me just want to press it in because I felt like it was coming out the pan, because it was coming out the pan. Okay, see, because now it's back together because it was coming out the pan. I'm not crazy, but that's because I'm hard on my makeup sometimes. So Paradise Glow has something that looks like Desert Orchid here, and then Paradise Venus. It is spectacular. It is such a beautiful blush. Another one that pretty much goes with anything, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. But I'm gonna tell you, RMS is giving Paradise Glow a run for its money. I also have, and I guess we're gonna be getting into face palettes because this next one is a blush palette. I'm just looking at my phone. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into like face blush palettes. I don't have a whole lot, just a few. The NARS Afterglow. This was an early 2022 purchase that I've used all throughout the year. And it's great for mixing and matching. And I think that's one of the benefits of having a blush palette. Some of these are satins, and then we have a highlighter here, but you can mix and match these like to be beautiful. Like you could almost make Night Bloom from Pat McGrath. See that? And then one of these blushes, is it Savage? Yes, I think this one is a dupe for one of the Chanel blushes. So this was such a great purchase. I know you can't purchase this now, but this is definitely a favorite of 2022. So we're gonna get into the face palettes. Let's start with Charlotte Tilbury. So Charlotte Tilbury came out with the Pillow Talk Beautifying Face Palette, and this one is the medium deep. Love this. I do need to use this more. I love coral blushes. I love red blushes like this one. This is giving me At Night by Hourglass. And then you have these two beautiful highlighters. Love that. Adept came out with 4 face palettes, and I'm gonna start with the Ayana palette, which has the bronzer. I'm wearing that now. This is just a very beautiful matte, warm, like neutral bronzer, and I really love this. And then it comes with these 2 shades here, which you can use to top your bronzer or even as a blush, and it is just a really beautiful and smooth finish. So you know, sometimes with indie we expect to have these like very like sparkly or glittery type shades, or like shades that you can see from afar, but not these. I absolutely love the shades in this palette. And then I have the Stella palette, which has more of these like coral glowy blushes and then a highlighter. And I love this one too. Like it reminds me of like House of L without the sparkle. This was another unsung hero for me. At the beginning of 2022, would have never expected Adept to do face palettes. And when they said they were coming out with them, I was like, oh, I don't need that. But I'm so glad that I tried them, because once I did, these really ended up being like favorites for me. So really happy to have these. And they were 22 bucks, and you could get all 4 for 66, which I felt like was kind of a steal, because like you have these huge pans. Like I thought she did a great job with this release. So I definitely wanted to mention those. The last face palette that of course I have to mention is the Hourglass Tiger palette. And I did talk about this in another video at the end of 2022. I just felt like this was really unique for Hourglass, and was really happy to see them coming out with a range of shades. First of all, like the orange blushes I thought were really unique for the brand. Some of these holiday releases from Hourglass from previous years, they all look the same, but this one, you are not going to mistake the Tiger palette. Even if you don't see the packaging, you'll see this and know it's the Tiger palette. The Elephant one, not so much. This one was great for me because I could use this as a bronzer, but love that this is a setting powder. And you would not have gotten something like this from Hourglass in previous years. This one had 4 out of 6 new shades, and I just thought it was great. I would love to see next year that they have some consistency with the types of powders that they put in each palette, so that no matter what palette you purchase, you would get a bronzing powder, you would get a setting powder, you would get 2 blushes and a highlighter or something like that, and 2 different blushes. You know, this one had the most variety for me, so this had to definitely go in the best of beauty. All right, y'all, so yesterday my recording time ran out, you know, with the boys and all. So let's continue on. Let's talk about highlighters. I have 2. First, I have the Chanel Balm Essential in the shade Sculpting. Love this. This is like my #1 favorite. So this is the finish that it leaves, and basically I warm it up on my hand like that and just dab it on my cheeks. That's what I have on now, on my nose, wherever I want a little light sweat. And then second, I have the Elevated Glow by Lisa Eldridge. This is in Cosmic Rose, and same type of finish. I think this one is really good for mixing with other products, because I have experienced it disrupting my products underneath depending on what they are. But sometimes I just put this on when I don't have foundation on at all, or I mix it or really dab a tiny amount on top so that it doesn't mess up the products underneath. But these have been my go-to highlighters this year, and I love them. I did get the Chanel one this year. The Lisa Eldridge, I can't remember if I purchased this in 2022 or 2021, but it really got its use this year in 2022. So Let's go ahead and get into the eyes. That's what we're all excited about anyway. I'm gonna start by highlighting my favorite singles of the year, and that has to go to Terra Moons. Oh my gosh, y'all, like, it's really these more like gray base duochromes that I'm in love with, and I am waiting for an order to come. Let me just swatch a couple shades. Hyperion is one of them. I think these are called the gray base duochromes. I mean, look at that, gorgeous. And let me do La Lune. Yes, La Lune is this one. These shades are just so special and unique, and Terra Moons has a way of making them so silky and creamy. They're not flaky at all. I just love the really smooth duochromes. Those are just some of my favorites. Ooh, let's do one more. Terrestrial. You can see the shifts are really unique and they're different. Each shade is different. Just wanted to shout them out because love them. I also tried the Victoria Beckham Beauty Lid Luster. I have two shades. No, I have three shades now, but this is the newest shade, Velvet. And if you want to do like a beautiful one and done, these are perfect. I have Velvet, Mink, and Onyx. Mink is a taupe, of course. Onyx is a black, smoky black. And then Velvet is like a chartreuse. See how pretty that is? Put it right here. Again, this is beautiful for like those one and done eyeshadow looks. They blend out with a brush, and it's odd, but like it looks like a smoky eye, and it's just one shade, but you can of course combine these. Her prices are going up, so I had to place one more order because I can't. I don't think I'll be shopping that brand too much this year outside of a sale, but I really do like her products a lot. Also from Lisa Eldridge, I have the Liquid Lorax eyeshadows. This is the shade Zora, which I think might be out of stock. This shade is so good, y'all. Let's see. What I like about these is that they're sparkly, they dry down, and they will not move. So you get that sparkle without having the fallout. I like these way better than the eyeshadow palettes because those are not staying in my collection. No offense, because I love Lisa Eldridge, but those are just too pricey, and I don't think I'm gonna use them like that. So it's very unfortunate, but it's just the truth. So the part that we're all waiting for, palettes. Remember this? This palette was so good, and ironically, it is a cool tone palette by Huda Beauty, the Wild Jaguar palette. It was really nice to see Huda Beauty come out with these palettes because they weren't those like nude obsessions, and those palettes have duped themselves so many times. When she came out with these 4 palettes, this was just a whole different vibe and a whole different look, and I was really happy with these. I didn't do like those color block ones or anything like that. I did get the Love Fest, but that wasn't the standout. This one was though. Let's just take a look at a couple of the standout shades. Look at that beautiful purple. Yes, real grungy. Love this one. Yes, there was just so many cute looks that you could do with this palette. You still had a gold here, and you have like her, you know, brown, and there's a nude shade in here. I just thought that this was a different look for her, and I was happy to see that. I was actually thinking that she was going to do something with the animal theme for her holiday palette. Now, she gave us the Empowered palette, and I don't have the Empowered palette in this lineup because I really didn't use it. So I'll have to talk about that this year, but I love this. Another palette that I tried this year, Fall Magic from Unearthly Cosmetics. This was one that I was not gifted in PR, and when it came back in stock, I just bought it myself because I was like, I'm not waiting. What I love about Fall Magic is that it's giving us fall vibes, but it's not doing the red, orange, coppers, and yellows that most brands do when they do fall palettes. I thought that that was really clever of the brand. I always said this palette reminded me of a cozy sweater. Well, there's a shade called Cozy on here, and cashmere, maybe that's why. But yeah, I love the looks that I made with this. None of these shades are dry or anything like that. Just beautiful duochrome shades, beautiful color flips. This one's kind of similar here. Cashmere, oh yes, look at that. Yes, cashmere, beautiful. I also really like the choice of mattes. Like, look at Spiced and Branch. Really nice brown there. Cocoa is a nice one. Then you have these plums. This was just a great palette. This is one of my favorite Unearthly Cosmetics palettes. Okay, let's talk about a palette that you might be surprised is on this list for 2022 because it came out at the end of 2021. But I had no love for this palette, y'all. I had no love for it until this year. It is Amore y Mariposas from Melt Cosmetics. I really fell in love with this palette this year. You know, I don't like the circle pan. I wish they just created 2 palettes with their regular shape, but I thought the quality of this palette is great. I also like that the pans are small. You're not getting these huge pans that I mean, I'm not gonna use this one up either, but you get a lot of colors. Now, this is coming from the person that doesn't like big palettes, but this palette, for some reason, has definitely earned a place in my heart this year. And I haven't really been using like the vibrant shades, but like this row here with these neutrals, love this. I love like these greens here. I love the shades in this palette. You can do so many looks, but I think more than the shades, it's the good melt quality that we don't get in every palette. I'm actually gonna be looking through my melt palettes because I think some of them may need to go. And it makes me sad because at one point Melt was one of my favorite brands. I am hoping to see them gain their creativity back this year. And I thought that this release was gorgeous. I thought it was creative. I thought it was beautiful. It was very sentimental. However, that price is where we all were lost. And then the launch with the collection being on sale, that frosted everybody's cookies. But the launch itself was beautiful. And I just think because that launch kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, I just didn't really give the palette a chance. But it is great, gorgeous quality, shimmers are beautiful, no flaky, chalky shimmers in this palette at all. Let's talk about her. Tam, the Black Glove. This is the last palette I got before we were unable to purchase from Tammy Tenuka. This has got some shades in here that are very, very tough to dupe. Like this fiery red. This is one that's just gonna be hard to find. If you're trying to find a dupe, I'm not saying you can't, but you're gonna have to really look for it. You know what I mean? And you may not get the same formula. You might be able to get the color, but getting the formula is gonna be tough. This one right here. I just ordered Black Moon from Terra Moons. I'd love to compare to this shade, but these are some very unique shades. And then just the way that she has those 2 shades with these like purples. I mean, this is a really unique color story and a really unique palette. I love the small pan sizes, and I love with Tammy Tenuka, not with these, but with her 6 pans, you can get them in the mini size or the regular size. Well, we can't get any size right now. One of the earlier releases of 2022, Patrick Ta, Major Dimension 2. You've probably heard me talk about how much I like this palette. I just love the monochromatic nature of the palette, and I really like the shimmers in this palette better than the ones in the original. These do have the tendency to get some hard pans, so you probably want to use a brush rather than your fingers. I do love the cream shadows. They have not dried up on me or anything like that. The mattes perform great. This is just an easy palette. Now, I know a lot of us are tired of like the roses and the pinks, but I actually love this gradient. And one that I really haven't heard anybody talk too much about is the Oma Beauty Black Magic Color Palette. This palette right here is a dream. I love that it has the neutral mattes. It's got browns and blacks. You could do warm and cool. And then you have this whole row of these duochromes, and all of the shades are named after black leaders. Like, come on, come on. Just gonna swatch a couple shades. Let's do King. Yeah, like the ease. Let's do Pac. And I have a video on this palette. Like, look at those. I don't know if this palette is still available, but this is just my type of palette here. I love just having the browns in the transition area, and then you can just pop on one of these beautiful shimmers. You can really have a nice smoked out look if you want to use the black, and it is a perfect palette. Just well done. One of my shades is missing because I just used it in my BYOP, but this is the Mel Thompson Retro Glam Bundle with Sydney Grace. I swear Natasha Denona saw this bundle and then made the palette. I'm so sorry. Mel did that. Not only did she create this palette, she created a palette that had way more range and way more depth. and it just wasn't dry. I can't explain it, but Retro Glam is dry to me. This, you have some warmth, you have some peachiness, you have some range, and I think it's gonna work on so many different skin tones. Like even the lighter mattes, I feel like from Sydney Grace, they still show up on most people that I've seen. And she just did a fantastic job. And I'm so glad that Sydney Grace decided to make this an official bundle. So I gotta find my other shade. And let's talk about a palette that came and went. Summertime Sadness by Notoriously Morbid. And no, I did not do a video on it because they did not restock it and I was out of town. And then I just felt bad. I was just like, well, I'm not doing a video on it now. But this was a highly sought after palette. I haven't used it. You've got 3 mattes here and the rest are just beautiful shimmers. I love this palette as a summertime look. It's not a palette I would go for all the time. Now, Notoriously Morbid, I have just discovered that using their shades with the Dior line mixing medium has totally changed the game. It's taken the flakiness and kind of the powderiness of these shades away, and I'm actually able to do my face makeup first if I use the Dior line. I would love to see Notoriously Morbid bring this palette back next summer. I don't know if they have any leftovers anywhere where they could bring some back, but I know everyone was asking for this palette to come back, and I do hope they'll bring it back next summer because this was a really nice one. Let's just watch one more. Like, come on. Yeah. Really nice palette. Another palette that I have here from Unearthly is the Warms My Blood palette. I believe this palette is coming back, and I hope that when it does, we will have no shades that dry up because my Century shade is dried. I'm gonna have to get a replacement. The rest of my shades are fine, but I loved the layout of this palette, the 2 rows of mattes, the 2 rows of shimmers. I love the color story. I just thought it was really unique. I have not seen a palette based on Queen of the Damned. I love the artwork on the front. I love Aaliyah, so when I saw this, I was like, yes. When she said I could pick one of those 4 Halloween palettes, there was no question about which one I was gonna get. So I'm so happy to have this in my collection. The next 3 palettes I'm gonna mention are all from Adept Cosmetics. So first we have House of L. I've talked about this palette so many times. I've done looks and swatches and everything, but the swatches in this palette are some of my favorites from Adept. They are just something else. I'm just gonna swatch one. Let's do Zor L.
I'm hungry.
You're hungry? Do you want some more chicken?
No.
What about apple slices?
I want dessert.
Oh, you're hungry for dessert? Are you gonna have to give me a few minutes for that? Look at that. I'm so glad that she brought this palette back because it was a limited release at first. And I just love how it says Superman without being just like red and blue. You know what I mean? The Heather Austin palette, another favorite of 2022. I just think it was perfectly done. I've said that so many times. I love the shimmer formula in this palette. I love the choice of mattes just because there are more mattes in this palette that I will go to, whereas some of the other palettes from Adept with the mattes, I have to reach out to other palettes. I don't have to do that with this one. There are several shimmer formulas in this palette that I really like, but I especially love like the really smooth ones. It was a true standout for me this year, and I think it was well done. Now the Minka palette, which is this one, I'm not sure if my video is up yet. I had a couple things in this palette that I would change, but when I saw this palette, I was like, yes, especially when I saw like these 2 colors, I was like, okay. And then these right here. So these 2 are the really smooth duochromes. The rest of the shimmers in this palette are quite thick and chunky. So they're not like my go-to shimmer formula, really thick. I mean, but blindingly beautiful. But the formula, the texture is rougher. Like it's rougher than the ones in House of L and the ones in the Heather Austin palette. It's a little more textured than these smooth duochromes here. I wish that the choice of mattes was a little bit different. I could actually maybe go for 2 more mattes in this palette, maybe neutrals. I was thinking these were going to be neutrals, but I also recognized that they came out with Ambient earlier this year, and that was almost like their neutral palette. That was another standout, to be honest with you. Yeah, because I have that one, the light one and the deep one, and that's just a great palette too. Put Ambient on the list. Now, 2 palettes that were curveballs for me this year were these 2 from Lethal Cosmetics. We have the Metamorphosis palette and the Evergreen palette. Y'all, this palette is just beautiful. I love the whole concept. There's nothing about it that I would change. And I created some really, really nice looks. This shade right here, yes. And I expected to like the Metamorphosis palette, but I did not expect to love the Evergreen palette. The first look I created was like a monochromatic green look. It was, all the looks I created with this palette were just beautiful. And I was just happy like being able to use the blues and enjoying using them and loving the look. So these were curveballs for me. Lethal was not on my radar at all. I did try the Night Flower palette this year, which was another very good palette, but now I am looking out for everything that Lethal does, because they also came out with that One Up palette or something, and I didn't like that. I like brands to just stay in their traditional format like this. I love this. I feel like that's why I didn't like the Berlin palette. Like, I want the traditional square pans from Lethal with this like embossing on it in the grid. I just need the regular schmegular. Like, I don't need anybody to do anything special. And my last 2 palettes, y'all. Could not have a video of standouts without talking about Odin's Eye. And you know, at the beginning of the year we had the collab with Angelica, but that wasn't really a standout for me. That palette was just okay. But the Merry Christmas collection, first of all, did not expect to love the Christmas Eve palette, and I really did. It is unique, the formula is beautiful, packaging looks great, and this was just well done, well put together. I think they could just be fine with bringing back this collection next year, because they couldn't restock it. I think they restocked it once. Just bring this back next year, because this is fantastic. You don't have to outdo yourself. You don't have to come out with something else. Just bring back what we already love. They say Christmas without being Christmas. You could use these all year round. And that's what makes these palettes special. You got some grunginess in here. I don't know what to say. Now, to finish up with eyes, I tried the Door line by Inglot for the first time. You want to make an eyeshadow into a liner? Door line. You want to take a flaky and make it like a liquid metallic? Door line. You want to not have fallout? Door line. Like, it has transformed the way I use eyeshadow, and it makes the eyeshadow just adhere. It is like a must-have. I got this from Beautylish. Eyeliners. Now, last year I probably talked about the Charlotte Tilbury double-ended liners, but this year it is all about Miss Victoria Beckham. I cannot. First of all, these stay in the waterline. They're creamy. She's got the smudger on one side. You don't even have to put any pressure, and look at that. These liners are totally worth it, and I did get the Vault when I found out her prices were coming up, because I can't. These will last me all through next year, so it was worth it for me. Got a little bag.
Hey guys, we're gonna be doing ASMR today. Okay, ASMR.
That's too much.
You're messing up the video.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, wait.
Alright, tell me to the
Hold on. Hold on.
August, really? No, not that bracelet.
You're going to mess up the video. And cut.
2 days later, we are finally at the end of the video. I feel like I've been recording this video for the past 4 days, but that's just how it is sometimes. Lipsticks and perfume. Those are the 2 things that we have left to talk about. And let's just get into it so y'all can get on up out of here. Dior Lipstick Addict Lip Shines. Oh my goodness. These are just the best. They just feel good on your lips. They smell good. They give you nice pigment. This is Patchwork. This is like my favorite lipstick that I don't have on now. I'm wearing Finesse by Proper Beauty, but oh my God, y'all. Patchwork is just, so good. Love the shades, love the cases, love them so much that I had to repurchase Patchwork because I washed it. And I washed Bandana too, but I did not repurchase Bandana yet. But Patchwork, y'all, oh my gosh, love this shade. It is like my favorite go-to lipstick. Dior also tried it with the transfer proof lipsticks. This is 416 Forever Wild. These really are transfer proof. I did a video on these. They just really did a good job. Like, come on, Dior. You know, because with the eyeshadows, they just dupe themselves so much. But with the lipsticks, I just like that they had these different formulas. I love their mattes, I love the velvets, I love the satins, and I love the transfer proof. I love the shines. I haven't tried the maximizer yet, but I do have a little sample. So I'll try that out and see what I think about that. Now, one of my favorite lipsticks that I bought this year or in 2022 were the Juvia's Place Nubian Earth lipsticks, and I got all but one. The shade I love the most is the shade Nile. It's such a unique color in my collection because it's brown, but it reminds me of like a golden brown. These Juvia's Place lipsticks are just as good as any of these luxury brands that I talk about. A little vanilla smell, oh my gosh, so good. I feel like more people should be talking about the Juvia's Place lipsticks. They're not a go-to for me for eyeshadow, but lipsticks are a definite yes. Chanel. This is a demi-matte. I purchased this shade and Alter Ego from the fall collection. They came out with all these nude shades that were great. The spring collection just came out, and there are a couple nudes in there, but I think they're going to look similar to a lot of things in my collection, so I'm just trying to lay low. Yes, these are also just so creamy and balmy. Charlotte Tilbury Hyaluronic Lipstick Lip Balm. I think that's what it's called. I don't think these are new products at all. I just discovered them because I had gotten something from Beautylish earlier in the year and this came free. I have two shades. This is, oh, surprise, surprise, Pillow Talk. This is like a glossy lipstick balm. I don't really know how to explain it. Look at that shine. I love these. I try not to get more than the two I have and have been successful because I got a lot of great lipsticks this year. Now, Lisa Eldridge had a couple of lipstick releases this year. She came out with some new shades in the Luxuriously Lucent lipsticks. I like them, but they're not my favorite because I find myself having to apply them so much or reapply them so much. But then she came out with the same launch, the Insanely Saturated lipsticks. They're mattes, but I mean, one swipe, like Insanely Saturated is definitely the right name. So this one is Rainbow Spill. Let me lower this down because Lisa will break and we're not trying to have that. So you see, just with like that one swipe, you have so much pigment there and still very comfortable on the lips. So I purchased that one, and then Sunday Matinee, which is more of a nude, and I love these two colors. I also purchased Velvet Sorcery, which I wore to work today. That was a new velvet matte. That one's great. I don't know where it is. It's probably in my pocket, and I need to make sure that I do not wash it. And last, I have to mention the Maybelline Superstay Vinyl Ink lipsticks. I discovered these last year, and then they came out with some new shades this year, and I really love these. They work like a liquid matte lipstick, but they're not super matte. See, they still have some shine there. So I think that's why they call it vinyl ink. These are just so good. They really last, and they stay on this part of my lip where sometimes lipsticks just won't hold on this area. So these really work for me, and they're super affordable, long lasting, last me through a meal and all of that good stuff. So the color range that they have of these is really great. They are about, I don't know, $12.99 or $13.99, something like that. But you can definitely find these on a sale. This is starting to dry down, but you can still see that it's got some shine there. Last, I want to close out this video by talking about 3 fragrances. And the first one is by House of Sillage. This one is called Cream Chiffon. This was the second one in the Sweet Atelier collection. I'm trying to figure out what this reminds me. You know what it reminds me of? Vanilla sandalwood. So with essential oils, that is my favorite combination, vanilla sandalwood. And that's what this reminds me of. I love this one so much. Like, I am really using this all the time. And I had the pink one, the Sweet Dream, and I actually just sold it. Initially, it reminded me of Tom Ford Bitter Peach, but it was a peach that just wasn't peachy for me. It just, it was like, I don't know, I don't want to say old lady, but I couldn't do it. I wanted to, I tried, but I couldn't. So I actually just took it to the UPS store earlier today, and I'm hoping that someone else will enjoy it, because it could have been how it smelled just on me, you know? So that's how the fragrances go. The last 2 fragrances are from Dossier. I was actually gifted these, and then I loved these so much that I placed another order when they had the Black Friday sale. This one is Ambery Cherry. Ambery Cherry is a dupe for Tom Ford Lost Cherry. And you know, Tom Ford just came out with 2 new cherry scents, Electric Cherry and Cherry Smoke. And I know for me, the Lost Cherry by Tom Ford really did not last long on me. This is an exact dupe for Lost Cherry. I think this may have been $29.50. It was either $29.50 or $49.50, but either of those prices are gonna be way cheaper than buying a Tom Ford fragrance. And this is spot on. It smells exactly the same. I also had the dupe for Lost Cherry from the brand Alt, which I liked as well. I think I'm just almost out of that one, but I'm so thankful that they gifted me these, you know, and allowed me to pick the fragrances that I wanted, because the second one is Powdery Tobacco. And y'all, I no longer have to buy Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. To me, this smells exactly the same, and I'm sure if you have a nose for fragrances, you could probably spot the difference, but I don't, and I can't, and I shall be saving some money, because I'm not buying any more Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. Tobacco Vanille is my signature scent. It just smells so good. It is just so perfect, and I actually like to combine the 2 of these together. So I'm really, really happy with this. Yes, that is the best of beauty for 2022. I'm so happy to be finished with this video, although, you know, I really enjoy talking about everything. It's just really hard in the evenings to come and record and, you know, get the boys together. So that's why I had to kind of piece it together. But please let me know some of your favorites. I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything that I shared. And, you know, with these favorites, the makeup wasn't so bad, but I really had to go back and look on my spreadsheet with the eyeshadow palettes and see which ones were from 2022. That Huda Beauty palette, the Jaguar one, it really could have gotten lost because there were so many eyeshadow palettes that came out this year, and then there were so many bad releases. So I'm glad that when I get these products in, I do, you know, date them, because it's hard going back a year when there's so many makeup releases. Last year wasn't really bad for makeup, and I think with a careful eye that this year can be even better. It can be better on our wallets, and we can add better and more worthy products to our collection, unique products, so that we can continue to love on the products that we purchased in 2022 that we felt were awesome. That is how I am feeling. Thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me for another one today. I hope this was therapy for you. It always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you're being gentle with yourself, talk to yourself nice, stay safe, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.